For my career, I chose a CNA, and specifically how they use math while taking vital signs. This goes with what we learned because it is a real-life math situation. And when we did the unit about measuring mountains, we used formulas and measurements just like CNAs do, and I could relate CNAs to that unit that we used. What is a CNA? A CNA is responsible for assisting nurses and doctors. Usually it's in a hospital or facility. They help patients with everyday tasks like bathing, changing, walking, using the restroom, eating, etc. How do CNAs use math? CNAs use math in almost every task that they do. I chose to focus on vital signs. Some vital signs are pulse, respirations, and blood pressure. It's very important that CNAs get math exact and correct. Vitals are important to track patient progress and overall health of the patient. The first vital sign I'm going to focus on is pulse. The CNA will place 2 fingers on the pulse point and count how many beats are in. They'll either count to 15 or to 30. They'll time themselves for that long. And then they will times either by 4 or 2. So if they count to 15, then they'll times by 4. And then if they do 30 seconds, they'll count times by 2. And this will help them find the rate per minute. And then my learning aid, it says, it's a little poem. It says, tap, tap, count that beat, find the rhythm in the seat, 30 seconds, double tight, that's the pulse, you've got it right. 60 low, 120s high, keep it steady, watch it fly. That tool just helps the CNAs remember the steps and that systolic comes first. It also helps them know that 60 is low and 120 is high. So the next one is respiratory signs. This is the number of breaths a person takes per minute. CNAs will often repeat after pulse so that the patient thinks they're still taking their pulse, and they won't change their breathing patterns. If the breathing pattern is irregular, they should do it for a whole minute, but 30 seconds usually, and then timesing it by 2 usually will help be faster. Then my learning aid is in, out, quick, check, eyes on chest, don't break the deck, 30 seconds, multiply, breaths per minute, never lie. 12 to 20 is where we roll. Anything else, you will tell the goal. So this just helps the CNA remember that 12 to 20 is the range that they like to stay in, and if it's anything between there, it's good. Okay, and then the math for blood pressure. It uses subtraction and averaging. It might have to take the blood pressure multiple times to find the average, and then especially if the patient is restless or irregular, they'll do it more than once. So in this instance, they did it 3 times. So they would add up each of them and then divide it by 3 to find the average blood pressure. That just helps it become more accurate. My learning aid says, cuff goes on, line it straight, pump it up and oscillate. Systolic first, dystolic next. Read the numbers, mark the text. 120 over 80 clean. Math plus care equals CNA routine. This just helps them remember that 120 over 80 is a good range to have, and they'll know that if the blood pressure is between there, that they're good. And then I'm going to tell a few examples of how the learning aids can help in like a situation. So if a CNA counts 34 beats for the pulse in 30 seconds, they can remember that the learning aid said 30 seconds double tight. So they will double 34 by 2 equals 68, and they'll know that the pulse is normal because it tells you right here, and then they'll know that that's okay. 68 is a good pulse. For blood pressure, CNA will use the blood pressure cuff and find that it's 128 over 76. They'll remember the learning aid said systolic first, dystolic next, and they'll compare mentally to the poem that says 120 over 80. So that's slightly elevated, and they can report it to the doctor. And then for respirations, a CNA can count 9 breaths in 30 seconds, and they'll remember to times that by 2, so that's 18 respirations per minute. They'll remember the learning aid said 12 to 20 is where we roll, and so they'll know that that's a normal respiratory. And then for my AI prompt, I used Google Gemini. It was able to write easily memorizable poems that are fun. I asked Google Gemini, how do CNAs apply math into their everyday tasks, then create a learning aid to help them remember steps and important info. They gave me multiple different ones that I could choose from, and they were all fun and easy to remember. And then Google Gemini gave me a prompt as well, and it said the following learning aids will help students with rhythm and numerical memory connection with math steps to help CNAs with tasks, and to help abstract math feel physical and real. So I think that kind of connects it to our units in math this year and how we use real life problems in math, and yeah.